Hello, and welcome to DK Magazine's debut episode on YouTube. I am your host, Ken Artuz. I am also the founder and editor of DecayMag.com. That is DecayMag.com. Thank you for joining us. Today's episode is a robust featurette. We'll be discussing television, movies, news, horror, thriller, and sci-fi. Let's begin with
television.
Damien was originally due to broadcast on Lifetime, but found a better home suited with A&E's edgier content. The hour-long drama is written and produced by executive producer Glenn Mazara of The Walking Dead fame. Damien will be a follow-up, a sequel to the 1976 supernatural horror film The Omen, directed by Richard Donner and written by David Seltzer. Actor Bradley James portrays the role of the Antichrist, Damien Thorne. The series will explore Damien's adult life. The producers of Damien are aiming to offer a blend of mystery and the supernatural. Damien is unaware of the power he has, his destiny. Once he realizes he's the Antichrist, well, all hell may very well break loose. Also starring in Damien is Barbara Hershey. She'll portray the role of an influential woman named Anne Rutledge. This is a central character because Anne will be the manipulating and steering force for Damien in his satanic obligation. Actor Omar Atahi will portray Damien's closest associate, Amani Golkar. He's unaware of Damien's haunting past and destined future. Viewers will have to tune in to see how this relationship develops. Last but not least, also starring in Damien is Megalene Ichikun Wookie. She'll be playing the role of Simone Baptiste. What part does she play in this tangled supernatural web remains to be seen. Basically, every source we've encountered has a generic description on Megalene's role. Several trailers for Damien have surfaced over the past few months. One in particular is very interesting. The trailer is presented backwards and in slow motion. A woman is seen jumping out of a window to a high-rise building. Before committing suicide, the woman's only line is, "Damien, it's all for you." The phrase is the iconic quote from the 1976 film The Omen. I'm guessing someone on the Damien production team is a fan of Techland's open-world zombie game, Dead Island. It seems that the trailer to Dead Island served as source material for this particular Damien promo clip. Both trailers mirror exactly alike. Damien the series premieres Monday, March 7th. For more information, head on over to A&E.com.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
Did Hollywood Reporter and Deadline reports on another classic horror film making its way to the small screen. The news sources revealed that a modern reboot to The Exorcist is in the works. The project is a collaboration between 20th Century Fox Television and Morgan Creek Productions. The intended medium will be a 1-hour drama television series. Director Rupert Wyatt, notable for his work on Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and screenwriter Jeremy Slater is on board to pen the pilot episode. Slater is known for writing the script to the box office bombs The Lazarus Effect and 2015 Fantastic Four. In 2015, Fox tried to adapt Minority Report as a TV series and failed. There's also The Other Side of the Coin, Bates Motel, aired in 2013 and is currently in its 3rd season. Leave the classics alone. Redefine the genre will be updated version of The Exorcist. Translate to modern audiences. That remains to be seen. Nothing can replace or compare to the 1973 original. The Exorcist franchise suffered enough with the poorly received sequels that followed the original. Let's just hope Fox doesn't drive the evil forces away with this project.
And next up is our fellow colleague and contributor writer to DecayMag.com, Miss Stacy Cox, on her report on
Okay, let's end.
Ash vs. Evil Dead completed its first season. The horror series received great reviews from critics and fans alike. Casting has begun for the second season installment. Lee Majors and Ted Raimi have been added to the cast. Ted Raimi, from the original Evil Dead franchise, will play Ash's childhood best friend. You may or may not know who Lee Majors is. That all depends on age. Lee Majors is the $6 million man. Yes, the $6 million man joins Bruce Campbell in season 2 of Ash vs. Evil Dead. Majors has signed on to play the role of Ash's father. Michelle Hurd will also join the cast as Ash's childhood sweetheart. We've seen Hurd on Law and Order SUV and The Glade. The cast will also include Lucy Lawless as Ruby, who possesses the Necronomicon, Ray Santiago as Pablo Simon Bolivar, Ash's loyal sidekick, Dana De Lorenzo as Kelly Maxwell, who plots revenge against the Evil Dead. Sam Raimi is the executive producer alongside Rob Tappert, Bruce Campbell, and Craig DiGregorio. Aaron Lamb and Maura Grant are the producers. Season 2, Ash vs. Evil Dead, will premiere sometime in late 2016.
We know what this is.
We don't know anything.
It's like what happened to your poor mother.
Robert Kirkman. The name should be familiar to horror enthusiasts globally. His next project is a horror drama and is set to debut this year. Outcast will air on CINEMAX and will mark the first horror series for the network. Outcast is Robert Kirkman's second comic book to TV adaptation. This project has been in some form of development since July 2014. According to a February 2015 article from Dateline, CINEMAX acquired the script to Outcast after Fox International Channels shelved the project. At the time, Outcast was Robert Kirkman's first written pilot. Outcast, based on the graphic novel written by Robert Kirkman and illustrated by Paul Azaceta, and published by Image Comics. The synopsis to Outcast reads as follows. Kyle Burns has been plagued by demonic possession all his life, and now he needs answers. Unfortunately, what he uncovers along the way could bring about the end of life on Earth as we know it. Outcast would differ from The Walking Dead. Zombies are replaced with demonic entities. The 10 episodic series will be a psychological horror/thriller with supernatural overtones. Patrick Fugit stars as the protagonist Kyle Barnes. Phil Gester will portray the character Reverend Anderson, an alcoholic gambler who happens to be a West Virginian evangelical preacher. Gabriel Bateman portrays a young boy possessed by a sinister force. And Brett Spinner, David Denman, Melinda McGraw, and Kathleen Dent, and last but not least, Lee Tennyson also star in this series. Adam Wingard, director of The Guest and You're Next, directs the pilot episode. At this moment, there doesn't seem to be a release date set for the premiere of Outcast, yet the schedule is forecast for sometimes in 2016 on CINEMAX.
Check this out. Someone leaked the footage.
What the hell? Look at this.
How'd they unload on him?
It's not real. I mean, can't be real.
AMC's Fear the Walking Dead is one of my favorite horror TV shows. And I assume most of our audiences can agree with me there. Season 1 only had 5 episodes and served as a spin-off to The Walking Dead. Fear the Walking Dead Season 2 premiere will air Sunday, April 10 at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This time around, we're treated to 15 episodes. The 7th episode will serve as the diving mid-season finale. A specific date for the second half of the season is not official as of yet. Remaining episodes will set to air later in 2016. The Wrap reports that veteran actor Douglas Scott will join the cast of Fear the Walking Dead Season 2. According to the article, details of Scott's character are being kept under wraps, but he will recur in multiple episodes. The Wrap. Fear the Walking Dead executive producer Dave Henriksen offers some intriguing details on the storyline for Season 2. In October 2015 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Henriksen stated, "You see that land is no longer safe, but there's thousands of boats throughout LA County, so a lot of people will stack up the boats and try to get to the water and avoid land as much as humanity possible. There will be quite a bit of action on the seas, and we'll split it between land and water, but it's going to be an interesting dynamic." There you have it, Walking Dead fans. Season 2 will be action-packed, will take place in the vast oceans and on land, and will star Douglas Scott in yet to be determined role.
Captain, they've adapted.
Also in the news is word of Star Trek is set to return to television. Although several Star Trek films were released over the years, fans have been left wondering when the franchise will return to its small screen roots. After more than a decade, Star Trek heads over to our HD TV sets. In a shocking revival, Brian Fuller, co-owner of Platinum Dunes, is on board for the revival of Star Trek. This should be interesting considering that Platinum Dunes' specialty is horror films. I have to reiterate, Star Trek and a horror-specific producer, that's quite an odd combination. Fuller's dark and morbid end of the spectrum perhaps can lead Star Trek to a different perspective. Hannibal, the crime drama horror television series, is just an example of Fuller's work. Don't let me get started with the darkness and depravity of that show. Dead Like Me, the comedy drama fantasy television series, is another example. Let's not forget Mockingbird Lane, the comedy drama fantasy. Or how about Pushing Daisy, the comedy drama fantasy television series with a touch of darkness to it? Fuller certainly has a knack for the dark fantasy genre. However, Fuller has also had some experience with the Star Trek franchise. Writing for Star Trek Voyager, where we co-wrote and co-produced, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine. So when you think about it, Fuller as showrunner for the new Star Trek series just might be a good idea. Fuller and Alex Kurtzman, who's also had his share of the Star Trek franchise, Star Trek 2009, and Star Trek Into Darkness, will serve as executive producers for the new Star Trek series. Kurtzman said of Fuller, "Bringing Star Trek to television means returning it to its roots, and for years those roots flourished under Brian's devoted care. His encyclopedic knowledge of Trek canon is surpassed by his love for Gene Roddenberry's optimistic future, a vision that continues to guide us as we explore strange new worlds." This on Wired.co.uk. What's more, it's just been reported that Star Trek alum and horror film legend Tony Todd will return to Star Trek series revival. He's revealed to be one of the few on a short list of actors considered for this enterprise on CBS, pun intended. Star Trek screen rights are split between Paramount and CBS. Decision on whether the new series will debut on CBS has yet to be announced. Now, over to my colleagues at DecayMag.com.
Donations. Visit our website to donate and drop us an email, or visit our campaign at Patreon. Links will be provided on the description below. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. Your comments are greatly appreciated. Please help us bring your latest in horror, thriller, and sci-fi news. Thank you. Now let's talk about movies. Underworld 5. Underworld 5 is scheduled for a theatrical release October 21st, 2016. The latest chapter to the 13-year-old action horror franchise will most likely be the last. The film, also known as Underworld Next Generation, is slated for a 10-week shoot in and around the capital of Czech Republic. Anna Foester will direct based on the script written by Corey Goodman. This next installment to the Underworld will reportedly shift focus to the future generations of the feuding vampires and werewolves. The following information is based on the Screen Gems Lakeshore Entertainment's Underworld 5 issue in 2015. British actress Clementine Nicholson joins the cast of Underworld 5. Nicholson will portray the character Lena. This will be Nicholson's feature debut. Kate Beckinsale reprises her role as the protagonist vampire warrior Celine. Rumor have it that Kate Beckinsale will not return for any future installments to the franchise. Bradley James, yes, we spoke about the actor earlier in the show. In addition to his work on the A&E series, Damien, the talented actor, will portray a villainous character in Underworld 5. Theo James will reprise his role as David from Underworld 4. Tobias Menzies will portray a new Lycan leader. And Lara Palmer, fiercely ambitious vampire.
Whatever that probe is picking up, it's reading life form.
What do you mean a life form?
Oh, the head. Changing.
First titled Prometheus 2. Then it changed to Alien Paradise Lost. And now it's titled Alien Covenant. Whatever the title is, this next film would be a continuation to the 2012 sci-fi release, Prometheus. Director Ridley Scott launched one of the most successful horror and sci-fi movie franchises with the awe-inspiring Alien. The film released in 1979 and remains a cinematic masterpiece to this day. Ridley Scott revisited the franchise with a prequel to the original. Prometheus serves as a backstory to the events surrounding the crew of the ill-fated Nostromo. Prometheus had a production budget of $130 million and grossed $120 million domestically, $280 million in foreign box office markets. These statistics are according to BoxOfficeMojo.com. The film failed to deliver the same impact, both visually and emotionally, in comparison to Alien or James Cameron's Aliens. I'm not the only person to share this sentiment. Lance Henriksen plays a very integral part in the Alien movie universe. His contribution to the series begins as the android bishop in the 1986 release Aliens. Henriksen played Charles Bishop Whalen, owner of Whalen Industries, in the 2004 release Alien vs. Predator. I had the pleasure of interviewing actor Lance Henriksen on his new released film Monday at 11:01 a.m., directed by Charles Agron. Here's his thoughts on the Prometheus film and the franchise in general. Henriksen, you were an integral part of the Alien movie franchise. What's your opinion on the modernization with the movie Prometheus?
I don't think I'll ever work with Ridley Scott because I'm sort of on the Jim Cameron side of the issue. I remember when I saw Alien, it was the first A-movie science fiction that I'd ever seen. It was magnificent. I could smell it. It was so good. And then years go by and we do Aliens. And that was a different culture, it was a different director with a different vision. And I loved doing it. And I was amazed at the outcome of the movie. I remember I saw it at Fox Studios, and I remember saying to Jim on the way out, he said, "Well, what did you think?" And I said, "Jim, I'm going to have to write you. I can't really talk about it right now." And apparently he thought I didn't like it. And I was too lazy to write the letter. But the truth of it was, I never saw a guy do such a tour de force. I mean, it was explosively well done. Incredible movie. And years later, we talked about it, and I cleared it up. But anyway, the point is that it was an event. It was amazing. The rise of Jim Cameron. I had done his first movie with him, and then I did Terminator with him, and then Aliens. And the rise of his talent and the ability for him to get the kind of movie made that he knew he could do was so exponentially quick. I mean, it really was. And I was sort of just grateful to be there. What was the question? Holy Christmas, that just went off. Prometheus. Prometheus, yeah. And I started out by saying I probably will never work with Ridley Scott, only because Prometheus, when I left the theater seeing that movie, I felt nothing. And that was the strangest feeling. It was a different take on it. It's a different director and again, it's science fiction, but it didn't do anything for me. Somehow, either I'm off sync or he's off sync. I don't know. It's a beautiful movie, but I felt nothing. What a strange phenomenon. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, it did. Here's the latest news on Prometheus 2, aka Alien Covenant. The Wrap announced in an exclusive article that Danny McBride would join the cast. This comes on the heels of actress Katherine Waterston replacing Naomi Rapace as the lead female actress. Michael Fassbender is reprising his role as the android David. It will be interesting to see Neil Blomkamp's version of Aliens. That's right, the director of District 9, Elysium, and Chappie has proposed to direct Alien 5. In June 2015, Blomkamp released the concept art to a reimagined Aliens universe. The project was put on hold, pending Ridley Scott Prometheus sequel to be released first. Also note, serving as producer to Neil Blomkamp's Alien film will be, in fact, Ridley Scott.
What you think of as pain is only a shadow. Pain has a face. Allow me to show it to you. Gentlemen, I am pain.
Anticipated HellRaiser Judgement is currently filming and set to release in 2017. However, we have some glum news. It appears that the new HellRaiser installment is filming without the original lead Cenobite Pinhead. You heard that right. Doug Bradley is not returning. For the fans of the HellRaiser franchise, this is grave news. It's like A Nightmare on Elm Street with no Robert Englund. Oh wait, that did in fact happen. Okay, let's say it's like Child's Play with no Brad Dourif. It doesn't make sense. Since the original HellRaiser film released in 1987, HellRaiser and his Cenobites have entertained us with their nightmarish escapades. Director Clive Barker has entertained us with 8 installments in the HellRaiser franchise. The last entry was HellRaiser Revelations in 2011. Starring in the new HellRaiser Judgement will be Heather Langenkamp. You know her from A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. She starred in 3 installments: A Nightmare on Elm Street, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, and Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Doug Bradley, the original Pinhead, disclosed his reason for passing on the next HellRaiser installment. He vented his opinion on Facebook. Of course, this is very shocking and terrible news. In further detail, Bradley shared, Gary said he would send me a copy of the script when he had completed a second draft. But before I could be allowed to set eyes on the precious document, I was required to sign a gagging order. This was a 3-page document preventing me from talking about the script in restrooms, on elevators, in restaurants, or in cellular telephone conversations which may be overheard. Bradley said there was also dark reference to people talking out of turn at conventions. Bradley added that he read this thing in disbelief and informed Gary I would not be signing it. In response, Gary Tunnicliffe added the following. Doug wrote back to me, I'm going to make myself liable for $1 million. I don't have just to read a Dick script. I don't think so. I was stunned. After all, it was my Dick script, and it let me know how he felt straight away. I wrote to him saying I was sorry he felt that way, and the next day the search for a new Pinhead began. This reported on the Inquisitor. Well, that was pretty intense. Looks like there's a lot of miscommunication, misconception, and some foul play there. On Bradley's defense, he refuses to sign the agreement due to previous experience working with Tunnicliffe in HellRaiser Revelations, which appears to be on a low quality scale. The Inquisitor reports that Dimension Films made HellRaiser Revelations in a rush in order to keep the HellRaiser franchise. More so, Dimension Films continues to release low-budget sequels. The bright side, Tunnicliffe found a new pinhead. The bummer, it's not Doug Bradley. In more bright news, the new HellRaiser Judgement will reveal all new Cenobites. Yes, even our beloved Cenobites get a huge update. This should be exciting. Now, over to my colleagues at DecayMag.com.
Video games.
Let's talk about gaming. Friday the 13th, the game. Friday the 13th, the game featuring the villainous serial killer Jason Voorhees not only met its funding goal of $700,000, but also surpassed the margin with an additional $84,000. The concept of a slasher horror video game was initially unveiled under the title Slasher Volume 1 Summer Camp. Stars were aligned during production to Slasher Volume 1 Summer Camp, and fate will steer the project in a different direction. Sean Cunningham, director of the first Friday the 13th and rights owner to the franchise, was looking for a partner. Upon hearing of Slasher Volume 1 Summer Camp, Sean Cunningham contacted Gun Media. The rest of the masses say is history. Friday the 13th, the game is marked as a third-person survival horror game with an engaging multiplayer mode. The game is scheduled for release on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC gaming platforms. Players will have distinct roles and capabilities. The idea, although not unique in perspective, will feature one player in control of the serial killer Jason Voorhees, while 7 players will take control of camp counselors. The setting will be a semi-open world, and of course, the backdrop will be at Camp Crystal Lake, based from the film franchise. Portraying Jason is one and only Kane Hodder. For those who may not know, Hodder portrayed the iconic hockey mask killer 4 times. The game will technically make the 5th time. Tragically, Kane Hodder suffered an injury during the motion capture filming. He is expected to make a full recovery as of Friday the 13th. The game, stay tuned. More news will surface in the month to come.
Japanese video game designer Hideo Kojima and founder of Kojima Productions was presented with the 2015 Hall of Fame Award at DICE Expo. Kojima also shared his thoughts on VR. Kojima is interested in the possibilities of new VR technology in his projects. Since founding his independent studio, Kojima Productions, Kojima has been interested in VR technology. Kojima tells IGN, "I've been interested in VR for a long time now. VR came up over 20 years ago. What was described back then is finally coming to our daily lives, so I'm very excited about it. A few years ago, I tried the development kit, and I'm very susceptible to 3D motion sickness, so I couldn't do it. And now the latest technology I've been trying, it doesn't produce nearly as much motion sickness." As far as the exciting details of the new Kojima Productions PlayStation project, Kojima is keeping it top secret for the time being. Kojima says, "I want to create something that's what people expect, but at the same time, we'll have something new that people haven't seen before." Working on this new project alongside Kojima will be Yoji Shinkawa, the former Metal Gear Solid artist and producer Kenichiro Imaizumi. The term VR, it stands for virtual reality. It's the use of computer technology to create a simulated environment. Instead of viewing the screen in front of them, users are immersed and able to interact with 3D worlds. By simulating as many senses as possible, such as vision, hearing, touch, even smell, the computer is transformed into a gatekeeper to this artificial world. The difference between virtual reality and augmented reality is that augmented reality simulates objects in the real environment, and virtual reality creates an artificial environment to inhabit. For those unfamiliar with Hideo Kojima, here's a rundown. Kojima wrote, created, and directed several games that have become widely praised. His projects include the Metal Gear Solid franchise, yet it is Silent Hills that has been the talk among the gaming community. Film director Guillermo del Toro and manga illustrator Junji Ito were also on board on the project with Kojima Productions. Unfortunately, due to friction between Kojima and Konami, the return of Silent Hills was cancelled. However, rumors regarding Silent Hills have begun to circulate yet again. Kojima met with Norman Reedus, who was slated to be star of Silent Hills. Don't get your hopes up yet, Silent Hills fans. The purpose of this meeting was to talk about Kojima Productions. Now over to my colleague at DecayMag.com.
Crowdfunding Spotlight.
Now for our spotlight on video games. Visage is an interactive medium to capture interest among horror gaming enthusiasts. The project is the brainchild from indie game developers at Sad Square Studios. Visage embarks on a different path from available horror titles. For instance, the designers substituted ritualistic viscera with tension-laced visuals. The player is thrust into a nightmarish world, bordering reality and illusion. Yet, it is in this subtlety that the game offers true horror. 3D rendered environments mirror any real-life house of nightmares. Haunting soundscapes is another component to the game that enhances the terrifying experience. Visage is best described as an atmospheric horror game, a revitalization of survival horror titles from yesteryear. In recent years, major game development studios chose to fuse action cinematics within horror games. The marketing decision was an attempt to foster sales by targeting a wider demographic. The move has proven fatal for the survival horror gaming genre. Horror game franchises have fallen victim to declining sales. A poor reception attributed to the money-influenced marketing decisions. Action-driven survival horror almost decimated the genre. Notable survival horror titles serves as influence to Sad Square Studios' Visage. One honorable mention is the now defunct survival horror title by Hideo Kojima, Guillermo del Toro, and Konami. Despite these creative roots and motivations, a comparison to each is unfair. Visage will stand alone from released or current projects. The title Sad Square Studios are working on should note as a contribution, not an emulation. Posted on the company's official website is a suitable comment for this topic. The quote aims to quell criticism from those in the gaming community. The statement reads as follows: "That said, we are not trying to become merely some kind of PT successor. We're driven by the lack of truly terrifying games on the market. Developers at Sad Square Studios want to introduce and redefine horror gaming with Visage. Heart-pounding tension and psychological horror are elements that are lacking in today's releases. Sad Square Studio aim to resurrect these much sought after experiences back into gaming." Crowdfunding campaign for Visage has begun. As with all creative dreams and aspirations and endeavors, the key element relies on funding. Sad Square Studios will be launching a crowdfunding campaign for Visage. Crowdfunding campaign is being insane. Okay, do it again. As with all creative dreams, aspirations, and endeavors, the key element relies on funding. Sad Square Studios launched a crowdfunding campaign for Visage. In closing, the trailer provided is an alpha version of the game. The video serves as a promotional tool to entice prospective backers. There is still much to do on the development and production of Visage. Take a moment to review this footage to gain a sense of what Sad Square Studios are offering. Horror gaming enthusiasts, take note. Visage will be a game to look out for. Be sure to follow the team's progress via social media platforms. Thank you for tuning in to the premiere episode of DecayMag on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on all social network platforms. The links are provided in the description below. Be sure to visit our website at DecayMag.com, DecayMag.com. Your comments, following is greatly appreciated. If you have any donations you wish to give, simply visit our site and send us a note, or visit our campaign on Patreon.